The story of Jerry and Betsy. Jerry began to suspect that his wife, Betsy, was hiding something. She said she was going on a trip with her friends to a lake house for a relaxing weekend. But her behavior made him doubt her words. Determined to find out the truth, he sought help from his friend Dan, who owned a drone with a camera. On Friday morning, Betsy left, and Jerry immediately headed to Dan's apartment. Together, they drove to the lake house and found a secluded spot nearby to observe without being noticed. Dan launched the drone, and they watched the live feed on his laptop. For the first few hours, everything seemed innocent. Just the women drinking wine on the deck, laughing and enjoying the view. However, as the evening progressed, things took a turn. A group of younger men arrived at dusk, carrying cases of beer. They were greeted with cheers and hugs, as if the gathering had been planned all along. Jerry's stomach churned as he watched Betsy engaging in lively conversation with a particularly muscular man. She looked happy, happier than he had seen her in a long time. As the night went on, the guests became more comfortable. Some of the women paired off with the men and moved inside the house. Jerry clenched his fists as he saw Betsy lean in close to the man she was talking to, laughing as he whispered something in her ear. Then, to his horror, they disappeared inside together. Jerry felt like the air had been knocked out of his lungs. Dan looked at him, unsure of what to say. "Jerry, are you sure you want to keep watching this?" Jerry wasn't sure how to answer. Part of him wanted to storm into the house and confront her, demanding answers. But another part of him knew he needed to stay calm and collect as much evidence as possible before making any rash decisions. He took a deep breath and nodded. "Keep recording." They watched for another hour, and it only got worse. The women and men were becoming increasingly intimate, and Jerry didn't need to see more to understand what was happening inside the house. His marriage, his entire life, had been a lie. By the time they packed up and left, Jerry had already decided what he needed to do next. He wasn't going to confront Betsy right away. No, he would make sure he had everything in order before she even had a chance to lie to him. She would come home thinking nothing had changed, but when the time was right, she would realize just how wrong she was. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about taking control of his life again. And he wasn't going to let her get away with it. As I drove back home that night, my mind was a whirlwind of emotions. The betrayal I had just witnessed played over and over in my head like a haunting melody I couldn't turn off. The pain was almost unbearable, but beneath it, a new feeling was growing. Determination. Betsy thought she could fool me. Live a double life while pretending to be the devoted wife. But she was about to learn just how wrong she was. The weekend passed in a haze of carefully controlled emotions. I didn't let on that I knew. Betsy came home on Sunday evening, acting as if nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my weekend, and carried on as though she hadn't just spent the last 2 days betraying me. I played along. I listened to her lie. She told me they had spent the weekend doing yoga, drinking wine, and catching up. I nodded, smiling where appropriate, all while my mind raced through the plans I had already set into motion. That night, as she slept peacefully beside me, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what I was about to do. The following days were a blur of preparation. I consulted a lawyer, gathered financial documents, and made sure every piece of evidence I had was properly stored and backed up. I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to destroy the life she had so carelessly taken for granted. On Wednesday, I put my plan into motion. I left work early, knowing Betsy would still be out running errands. By the time she got home, I had already moved half of my things out of the house. The divorce papers were waiting on the kitchen table, along with a neatly compiled folder of screenshots, photos, and video stills from the drone footage. She walked in, saw the papers, and froze. Her face paled. What is this?" I looked at her, my expression calm but cold. "I know everything, Betsy. The lake house, the guys, The lies. She stammered, reaching for excuses, but I had already heard enough lies to last a lifetime. There's nothing you can say to fix this, I said. I've already filed. You can sign the papers, or we can go to court. But either way, this is over. Her eyes welled up with tears, but I felt nothing. The love I had once had for her had been crushed beneath the weight of her betrayal. I walked past her, grabbing my last bag. As I reached the door, I turned back one last time. I hope it was worth it, I said. Then I left, without looking back. The divorce proceedings were brutal, but Jerry had prepared himself for every possible outcome. He had gathered irrefutable evidence, and when it came time to present it, Betsy had no defense. She tried to deny, to twist the truth, but the footage from the drone, the messages he had retrieved, and the testimonies from those who had seen her behavior firsthand left her with no way out. The judge was unsympathetic to her. Not only did Jerry get a favorable settlement, but he also kept the house, the car, and the majority of their shared assets. Betsy was left with little more than her personal belongings and a sense of disgrace. As she signed the final papers, Jerry felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him. It was finally over. His friends had mixed reactions. Dan, of course, had been by his side throughout the whole ordeal, but others, particularly those who had known Betsy for years, struggled to reconcile the woman they thought they knew with the reality of her actions. I just can't believe she would do something like this, one of their mutual friends, Lisa, admitted. She always seemed so put together. Well, people are good at pretending, Jerry replied, sipping his drink. But I'm done worrying about her. Dan patted his back. And now you get to start fresh, man. You deserve it. Jerry nodded. For the first time in years, he felt truly free. Betsy, on the other hand, did not recover so easily. Word of her betrayal spread quickly through their social circles and even reached her extended family. Many of them turned their backs on her, disappointed and disgusted by the way she had treated Jerry. Her parents were particularly harsh, refusing to support her financially or emotionally. You had a good life, her mother had scolded her, and you threw it away for what? A few nights of excitement? Her father simply shook his head, unwilling to even look at her, and her future, once so full of potential, seemed bleak. Meanwhile, Jerry's life flourished. He threw himself into work, finally earning the promotion he had been striving for. He started traveling, something he and Betsy had always planned but never did. He met new people, formed deeper friendships, and eventually found love again, this time with someone who truly valued and respected him. Years later, he heard through the grapevine that Betsy and Monica were still living together, their lives stagnant. Betsy had never been able to rebuild what she had lost, and her days were now spent in solitude, surrounded only by Monica and the 5 cats. Jerry, on the other hand, had built a new life filled with happiness, love, and adventure. As he sat on the balcony of his new home, watching the sunset with his partner, he smiled to himself. He had made it through the storm. He had taken control of his life, and he was finally truly happy.